Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Lewis Phillips, and we are back to racing finally after a weekend off. We are down to the final 8, now 7, Monster Energy AMA Supercross races for the 2026 season. Round 10 at Birmingham is behind us, and a lot to unpack from Birmingham. We had 3 main events, obviously, to dissect with SMX Next, 250 Showdown, and the 450 race. But Big Lou, there's also a lot to dissect with you from the weekend. So first off, how are we feeling? Because I think there's a part of this podcast where we're going to have to break down some drama with you this weekend, no?
There's not really drama, Kellen. You don't need to call it that. That's overselling it a little bit. But yeah, we've quite a lot to talk about.
Well,
Quite a lot.
I feel like Friday was quite a bit for you, no?
No, it was fine. Took it all in my stride.
All right, man.
You know me.
We also need to probably briefly discuss that you did not fly Delta to this race, and you had back-to-back delays both going and leaving the race, which also didn't make you quite happy either.
Yes, that was... Although, actually, I will say, my first time flying Southwest, it was actually perfectly fine. They have Wi-Fi. That's all I need. We've covered this. All I need is Wi-Fi.
So what were you concerned that Southwest wouldn't have? Just not have Wi-Fi? That's it?
Yes.
They've always had Wi-Fi this whole time, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Well, I don't know. But it worked well, and that made me happy, and that's all I need. But this weekend, Frontier to Detroit.
Yeah, that's ballsy. That is...
Wait, ballsy?
That's you putting
Why
your
ballsy?
balls on the... Wow, I feel like for you, you have a very specific expectation of things
I need to be
in
pampered.
life. Exactly. And Frontier is not going to fulfill this, I don't believe. So this review is going to be very interesting, I feel like. Of
2 hours and 34 minutes is the flight time. I've already got that locked into my head, so I know exactly what I'm going to have to deal with.
I will say I have not flown Frontier. I have flown Spirit once, but I will say for your sake, prepare to not have any entertainment on the plane. So come ready with games or podcasts or things to do.
Yeah, no, I'll be ready for that.
Okay, great.
But no one's ready for this discussion. No one wants this in the start of the show. We're 2 minutes and 22 seconds in.
Right, man.
People don't want this.
I'm just trying to give the whole picture of Lewis's weekend in case they're upset at all for you being a little grumpy.
It equally feels a little bit lonely on LVK this week.
I know, no Steve. I feel like reviews for Steve last week were good. Having him on the show it didn't ruin our vibe, and we had a lot of views, and I guess we'll do it again someday.
Yeah, I mean, why would there not be good reviews? It's fine.
Well, you and I both know, especially when you look at the reviews of the Blair show, that some people don't quite like Steve, and so they'll only watch the Blair show for the Blair side of it.
Yeah, but Blair has a massive cult following.
But that's what I'm saying.
Outside of the traditional race fans, so.
But that's what I'm saying is that obviously we don't have that cult following, but we also vibe with Steve in a way that doesn't get such a vitriol against Steve, where people who only tune into our podcast are anti-Steve too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it was good. I liked it. It was fun, but I'm also glad to be back to just discussing the races with you, which is what we got to do this weekend. It was just you and me in Birmingham, and obviously we...
Wow. Poor Dark side.
Yeah, poor Dark. I should mention Dark as well, but I'm saying for our normal trio, it was just you and me. And it's going to be just you in Detroit as well. So you're going through the gamut right now. You have no Steve for a little bit.
Well, I mean, no Steve isn't exactly the headline, but in Detroit, I am going to be completely alone, which will be depressing as hell. I mean, it will just be a lot of silence. And to make matters worse, post-race interviews will be impossible. Press day is horrific. So, it's just going to be a dull weekend. And then I'm in Pulp next week as well. So what a great weekend to go into Pulp after.
You have so much fun. Okay. We'll get there when it's time, though, and we'll talk about Detroit and all the fun that's had there. But we got to dissect Birmingham first. And before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Leatt. Leatt, protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. Be sure to visit the 2026 line of gear at Leatt.com and see what they have to offer, including carrying Colt Nichols to a season-best P8 finish this past weekend at Birmingham. And apparently he just needs Justin Bogle to be there and actually riding the motorcycle along with him, and Colt Nichols shines through.
Yeah, I need to re-listen to my Colt interview because there was quite a lot of stuff about like figuring things out with the bike and irregular data from practice bikes to race bike and weird trends that they only just figured out. I don't know. There was a lot to it that I didn't quite understand in the moment. So I need to sit down, put my big brain on, and see if I can figure it out.
Well, what he told me was that they're having a problem with the rear ride height being too tall, which I think he said something or alluded to it in your interview as well. And then when I asked him specifically, is it sag related or is it like the actual ride height on track, like you're having too much lift on the rear when you're like in transition and stuff like that? And he said it's the same thing. It is actually on track ride height, so they choppered it out a little bit more this week. And he has 4 bikes. He has his practice bike in Oklahoma, he has his practice bike in Florida, he has his backup bike, his backup race bike for Triple Crowns, and his race bike, and all 4 showed the exact same thing. And they couldn't figure out why. They couldn't figure out what setting they were messing with that was wrong with it. And he said that they fixed that in the brake, and that's what made him feel much better. So there you have it.
Speaking of rear ends, I was thinking, AP's been on this trail of trying to figure out what was it he was trying to figure out exactly. He just wasn't happy with the rear end, was he? But I don't know why specifically, because I know he went away from having it choppered out.
Right.
But for what purpose, I can't remember. Something
Maybe
to do with the front end feel.
choppering it again now.
Anyway, point being, he's had a lot of crashes this year, and I wonder if that is what has caused it. Chasing his tail on suspension quite radically, going from air to spring, low rear end, high rear end, like all of this. I wonder if that's why we've seen him hit the dirt so much. Would make sense.
If there's anybody more familiar with a lot of changes to the motorcycle equating to perhaps too much crashing, I feel like maybe you can sympathize with that department just a little bit, no?
No, I don't think that's relevant.
At all?
No.
7 straight rounds of hitting the deck, but not relevant at all.
Who hit the deck 7 straight rounds?
Chase. Thought you
no,
picked
he
that up
didn't.
easy. Well, he crashed the first 6 rounds. I don't remember if he crashed in Arlington, but I assumed he did because it wasn't good in qualifying.
He didn't crash in San Diego.
He did in practice. Yeah, he did.
Oh, we're fucking hell. We're counting practice crashes? Well, everyone's probably done that.
Everybody's crashed.
And also, I'm calling bullshit. I don't think you have Chase's practice crash on your mind. I think I call bullshit.
Okay. Why would I not?
Someone look into this. I don't think this is true. And we're going to expose Kellen for being fake news just to fit into Facebook narratives generated by algorithms.
I will be quite happy when they actually expose you as not remembering all of your dear friends' crashes this season.
I don't think I would sit on my soapbox and say he did not crash at every round.
Okay, man. But let's get into our first topic of the day. I mean, I don't know how much we want to dive into this. I know you've already gone over it. The review show went over it a freaking ton. But I'll ask you this simple question. Is there anybody, I don't know, maybe in the history of the sport is too much, but definitely in the AMA's history that has done more damage to his own individual representation in a very short amount of time than Mike Pelletier? He went from being like, I feel like looked at as pretty well understood across the paddock. Most people seem to agree with his rulings. If they didn't agree with him, they at least could understand that he was doing things by the book. And now I feel like we've thrown everything into the trash can. It's all on fire. And for the 3rd round in 4 races, we are having another AMA discussion. So I feel like this is a bit of ridiculous scenarios that we've had with Mike Pelletier now, no?
Yeah, but can you put it on Pelletier specifically? I mean, I guess you have to because he's the leader, but I don't know if you can go so aggressively on the personal side, Like, I think it falls on everyone. And I think part of the issues that came from Birmingham did fall into the other people around Pelletier.
Here's what I have a problem with Pelletier, and I like Mike, and he might not like me after saying this, but what I don't really like about Mike is definitely this year and the last like year and a half, he's not really wanted to talk about things that he like feels are like controversial AMA stuff, right? Like you can go ask him a question and he'll maybe tell it to you off the record, but it's been really tough for me if there's something going on that is not good, like when Jet got the one lap penalty at Ironman. And the next week I went to interview him about, and I was like, I just want to talk about Team USA. And he's like, cool, because if we're talking about anything else, I'm not doing it. And like, I don't like that. Like, if you're in a position of power like this, you got to answer the bell. Like, when you're making these decisions that are pissing people off and you're going against the rule book and all this stuff like that. And I don't feel like he's into that lately. And now it seems like it's also spilling over into maybe his worst season as director of this position. So I don't know what's going on, but I feel like in general, I ask around the pits as well, people aren't really liking him anymore.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if your Ironman example holds too much weight because it is just one example and it was a little while ago now. I was hoping you had a more
okay. Well, how about this? How about
instance
when Max Anstey, the whole thing in Detroit happened last year, and he lost his lead and eventually lost the win because of the restart procedure. You and I both requested to have his services in the post-race media scrum. We went down there. I fully expected he would do an on-camera explanation of this, and he said, I will do nothing on camera, but I'll read you the rule.
Again, you're going too far back. I remember that playing out differently. I remember that him saying, I don't have much time. I just wanted to come here quickly and tell you this.
Nope. He went to me and said, I will not do something on camera, but here's the rule. That's exactly what he said to me.
Okay. Honestly, this feels a little, I don't really understand what any of this has to do with Birmingham or anything. This like Detroit and Ironman last year are kind of irrelevant, and I don't see what that has to do with any of this.
I was pointing to examples that also back my theory that he is shying away from this now at the wrong time. Like, he needs to start jumping in front of these decisions and being more forward facing, because he is the one that at the end of the day, that's where the buck stops. He is the guy at AMA that could say yes or no to these decisions because he's the race director. Like, he can make those decisions. But he's choosing to go against the rule book or make knee-jerk reactions or not make enough reactions, and it's him. It comes back to him. You can say Ezra's involved. You can say J-Bone is involved. But it's Mike Pelletier that comes down to making the end decision there. And we've heard the thing that happened with Duff this year that made Duff unhappy. That was Houston. We're going 5 rounds ago, now 6 rounds ago. And then we roll into Arlington. There's all that drama. They end up not going by their rule book, even though they had been going by it for so long. I know that off the record, people that were in that camp were not exactly thrilled with how Arlington went. And then you roll into what happened at Indy with the lap traffic. No penalty points, even though they had been giving out penalty points earlier in the year for bad lap traffic situations. Nothing from that. Now this weekend, apparently all the riders were told, don't cross over the split lane 100 times, whatever. But then to only cut one stick of it and you get the same exact penalty as if you actually jumped across the lane seems a bit ridiculous to me. Like, there's no wiggle room in that, but then there's a ton of other wiggle room in the other stuff, and no one's jumping in front of these decisions to say, this is exactly why we did it. Just that we reviewed it, and this is what happened.
Okay, well, are we off the Pelletier thing now? Because,
Sure.
I stand by it. The Pelletier personal thing and the rulings are two different debates.
But it's his decision.
Okay, but you just said no one's jumping in front of it and explaining it. Have you reached out to the AMA and asked for an interview or a comment? Because I haven't, so I can't sit here and say that they are refusing to talk.
I asked for a comment from Ezra Lusk about the Arlington thing and was told we're moving on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that does mean something. But again, I don't think we can both sit here and say no one's talking about it when neither of us have actually tried to talk to the AMA about it. Fucking hell. So what did you say to the AMA after Birmingham?
I'm not... okay.
Oh, no, okay, once, yeah. No, this is what I mean. No, like, it's true, though. Chase Sexton hasn't spoken since Arlington. Well, yeah, okay. Have you reached out to him? No. You know, like, I think it goes... I mean, I meant that example to go a different way, you know, but I honestly... So I think this is now coming across the wrong way because I look like I'm sticking up for the AMA. I've got massive issues with what happened in Birmingham, Indy, and Arlington. I think none of it is good. However, I'm completely caught off guard having done the vital review pod, listen to Steve's review pod, and whatever. I'm completely off guard with how you've approached this topic, which is weird to me and it's kind of weirded me out. And I don't know, it's put me on the back foot a little bit.
Because my one question to you is, has there been anybody in the AMA's history that has done more damage in a quicker amount of time to his own reputation than Mike Pelletier? Like, I'm trying to think back to the days before Pelletier. We had the black flag go out for Chad Reed at A3 2015 in the Kennard situation, but so many people already did not like the AMA at that time that I don't consider that like, oh, everything was great and now everyone hates them. But I do feel like, generally speaking, the pits, if you go back to A1 this year, would say mostly good things about Pelletier. And I've got nothing now, man. Nothing. Like, not one rider I talk to says, yeah, they're making good decisions right there.
Yeah, I mean, I can back that.
So that's my point.
No, I know, but I'm kind of looking out for you a little bit because you're making some quite stringent claims here without, like, if you came here and said, I've sent an email to the AMA twice asking for a comment since
I'm not talking about
Birmingham.
me. I'm not talking about me.
No, but you did go into it.
Because I'm saying from personal experience in the
much.
past. No, I'm saying from personal experience in the past, I haven't been happy with some things Mike Pelletier has done. And now that seems to be spilling over into exactly what the riders feel about it too.
Okay, moving on. The penalties. It all, as isolated incidents, they can be reasoned with. What doesn't work is the way that Arlington, Indy, and now Birmingham sit next to each other as a trio. There's no trend, there's no pattern, there's no consistency across those trio of races, which have all happened in the space of a month, a little over a month, and that's where the issue lies. If Birmingham was an extremely stringent AMA, and to a degree, that is what you want from your governing body, of course. And I think everyone can sympathise with that to a degree. But you can't sympathise with that when, at the previous race, a precedent for leniency was established. Because what happened in Birmingham now flies in the face of the precedent that was set in Indy and also Arlington, which makes it stand out a little bit more so. If they had been complete hard asses in Arlington and Indy, then I think Birmingham, we're all like, fucking hell, that was a bit much, but those AMA guys, what are you going to do? They're real ballbusters. They won't let you get away with anything. And I think if that's the way it's gone through the entirety of 2026 and further back, then you kind of accept that a little bit and you kind of go, oh, yeah, fuck. I mean, I wish they'd be a little easier, but that's how they do things. But that's not the case. And so far, therefore they have no credit with Birmingham. And if there was ever a time or a case to double down and prove how committed you are to the rulebook and doing things properly, a split section marker infraction is not the one to put all your eggs behind, in my opinion. It's a trivial matter. Of all the penalties, of all the requests for penalties that have happened in Arlington, Indy, and Birmingham, this is the one that I think we can all agree it's irrelevant, it means fuck all, and yet this is the one that the AMA have thrown their entire might and weight behind, which I think is confusing everyone. Again, if they had thrown their entire weight behind every single penalty up until this point, I don't think it flags up as much, because you just go, that's the AMA for you. They're strict. What are you going to do? So it's a pattern, trend, consistency issue that is at play here.
Exactly. And to your point about the line that they're choosing to draw here, like this even grinds my gears even more about what happened in Arlington, because for me, I lean more towards things that have anything to do with safety in this sport, meaning exponentially more than anything else. Like it should be massive penalties comparatively when there's safety issues involved compared to cutting the track or something like that. But in this specific situation, they did not take a win away from Pierce Brown at Arlington. Keep getting my rounds mixed up. Arlington for jumping on a red light, even though it's in their rule book. But they took a win away from Hayden Deegan for crossing one white stake in the ground. Like, you want to talk about two completely different things. Whereas, like, in the Pierce situation, that rule exists because if there's a medic on the track, Pierce jumping means someone's getting hit. But this rule exists because we just don't want you to gain a little bit of time. And they're going to take a win away for, I don't want you to gain a little bit of time versus not taking a win away for maybe having a situation come up that could put someone's life in jeopardy. Like, that's ridiculous to me. Like, those two need to be drastically separate penalties, in my opinion.
Yeah, or at least consistent. The marker one should not be the heightened one. But I do believe that Birmingham was entirely reactive to Indy and Arlington. I think that the AMA noticed, obviously, the amount of flack that they got for not doing enough. And I imagine in the break, they kind of rallied the troops a little bit and went over some decisions and kind of came to the conclusion that, okay, we need to up our assertiveness a little bit here. And I think Birmingham was them putting the hammer down, making their intentions clear, trying to right their wrongs to a degree. But again, it was misplaced because ultimately the matters were insignificant compared to what's happened prior. And it just lacks with no consistency.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And ultimately the biggest problem here is this. Going into Detroit, if I'm a rider, I'm a team, I don't know if I'm dealing with super lenient AMA from Indy and Arlington or super strict AMA from Birmingham. And in that sense, and you know, the AMA's argument to that will probably be, we were the same across the board, we were playing by the rules. But you can't argue that there have been much more significant matters that they've kind of been easier to negotiate with. And I think heading into an event and not being sure exactly how much the rules matter, for lack of a better term, is a dangerous place to be as a series, but a dangerous relationship to be at foot between participant and governing body.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you're right. There's way too much inconsistency now for anybody to know what's right, what's wrong, what's left, what's right. Like, honestly, it's ridiculous that these guys have to really kind of balance a weird wiggle zone of what will be penalized or what won't be penalized. Because, like, I mean, even from a consistency standpoint, I hard disagree with the penalty that was given to Evan Ferry. Like, I feel like, to me, that's maybe the most ridiculous one from this weekend. Like, yes, stripping Deegan of a win is also absolutely insane, but a pass that Evan Ferry puts on for the final transfer spot into the main event that happens every week. I mean, in multiple times a year for sure. And now we're going to throw a 5-point penalty and license points. And I don't know, like, read the room a little bit. Like, racing has existed for long enough for you guys to understand the nuanced differences here. And I'm actually kind of surprised, knowing how Ezra Lusk is, that he didn't put his foot down there and say, no, man, like, we can't penalize this one when we haven't penalized the other 35 that have happened this year.
Well, this is my concern, and this is why I took issue with you going so focused on Pelletier off the top. So both Evan and Timmy have gone on social media and kind of said that they were, obviously, it's not a direct quote, it's not public, but they've put it out there publicly that they were essentially said that they had to make an example of Evan. Again, in my opinion, reactive to Indy. Fair?
Yeah, yes.
I think, and this is complete conjecture, I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion and my assessment of the situation. So I would imagine someone thinks similar. Obviously, Timmy and Ezra have a relationship. I would imagine that rather casual explanation came from Ezra to Timmy. And then now it's kind of gone public. And I think that casual relationship between Party A and Party B is part of the problem. You know, I think that also therein lies some issue. Equally, I think that can go for various different parties. I said this on the Vital post-race show, but I think the same goes for the track crew. I think the track crew have too much of a relationship with the people in the pits. And I think there is too much like laughter about, you're not going to triple this, and, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, etc., etc. I think there needs to be a stronger border there, and maybe now a stronger border with the AMA to allow them to do their job. Because, yeah, that whole explanation with Evan was weird to me, but screamed personal relationship, sort of like dismissing the professional, not responsibilities, but a professional context to the conversation, and kind of just a bit like, hey, bro, approach.
You're right. I mean, it probably was Ezra that said that, and knowing how Ezra has said things off the record in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if it was him either. But like, this just goes back to another problem that I have, is that like, even when they were showing Deegs post race talking to, I think they were talking to J-Bone, and it's like is Pelletier just sending his messengers? You know, like, I feel like he needs to be involved here.
I don't. Perhaps I'm not clued up enough on each AMA person's position, the hierarchy, how they end up where they are. I think you're putting too much weight behind this Pelletier thing. I think everyone...
No, I'm not. He's in charge.
...holds equal blame. So you think Pelletier said to J-Bone, hey, go talk to Deegan, I don't want to.
If something happens tomorrow where, like, Supercross... Let's say, like, Supercross has something disastrous happen with Detroit where they can't get a bunch of their rigs to the event or something like that, that might fall on some ops guy. But Dave Prater, the buck stops there, man. Like, you're in charge. All of their rigs not getting there to have tough blocks on the track is Dave Prater's fault. Doesn't matter if it's an ops guy or not. And that's the exact same feeling I have about Pelletier. You're in charge, bro. Like, get in front of it.
Yeah, agree. But also, I think those are wildly different situations.
Well, that's my point with it. Is it's like, maybe this is exactly what you're saying about that there's too much casualness, right? I feel like, again, you go back to the Duff getting penalized $500 earlier this year. His conversation seemed to be specifically with just J-Bone, and then Pelletier, like, in passing by, says something. And then maybe this thing with Ferry is, just my conversation is just with Ezra. You know, it's like, if there's supposed to be some sort of rider directive of, like, if you're going to get a penalty, you got to hear it from these guys. I feel like it's weird that it seems to only be from these casual passerby conversations and nothing, like, ever fully definitively explained, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but again, that's hearsay. We don't have exactly hard facts on how this is going down. You're going to get story from one person, story from another, and the truth will probably lie somewhere in the middle. So I struggle with that. But back to the J-Bone thing, I just disagree with you because, like, I'm sure there's other stuff going on, and Pelletier is somewhere else dealing with something else.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm not, but that's my point. Is that,
and that's why there's multiple people, so that, like, hey, we're splitting off and dividing and conquering. I mean, again, that's such a trivial matter in this whole thing.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. Like, I feel like in a decision such as this, you got to pull the whole team and the riders together and, like, explain why. And I feel like I'm hearing more and more from riders that there's lack of explanation, lack of understanding. The communication stops. It is just a hard yes or no or nothing. Like, as we've seen in the past couple of weeks, your Honda, you go try to make an argument for why it should be a certain way for what happened in Arlington, and they just get told, no, man, this is it. Like, there's no budging, there's no wiggle room, there's no, like, how do we get to this conclusion? There's no, here's what your rule book actually says. I made the decision and this is it. And I don't know, I guess maybe that's exactly what we asked for all these years ago, is the AMA to actually step up and put their balls on the crossbar. But then in these situations, there's so much inconsistency that it kind of feels like there needs to be more of that wiggle room and actual explanation in between.
Well, wiggle room is how we've ended up in this position with Birmingham, because the wiggle room in Indy and Arlington has left us unhappy in Birmingham. So, like, what one's better? Pick your poison. Yeah. I think part of the issue, and I've said this many a time, hard to be black and white in this sport because there are so many elements changing week to week. It's much more complicated to assess. And in the AMA's defense, if we want to play that card as well, I can see a world where it is so hard to call every other movement issue in this sport, but you have that split lane. It's so incredibly black and white that they're like, this is the one that we can show that we follow the rules and there's no wiggle room and there is nothing. Like, this is a prime example of how we want to run and how things should run, because there's no getting out of this one. It's clear as day. Bam. So And again, does that make it right? No. But I do think that the way in which the split lane rule, if you want to call it that, is laid out, it is so black and white that it is kind of just like a slam dunk in their minds. And again, would we have a problem with it if there were similar slam dunks in Arlington and Indy? I don't think so as much, because we would, again, just be like, that's the rule book.
Yeah,
and those AMA guys, you know what they're like. They won't let you get away with anything. I wish that they were a little looser, but hey, someone's got to do that job, I guess. You know, I think, again, that's where we've ended up in a situation where we are.
I agree. It's down to a lack of consistency, and it's extremely frustrating to try to, like, even from our perspective, it's extremely frustrating to try to cover this sport with any sort of consistency ourselves, because when stuff happens, in the past it was like, here's a rule, but now they've kind of thrown that out the window the 2 weeks before Birmingham, 3 weeks before Birmingham, and now we're back to here's the rule. So that's where I get frustrated with it. And like, even to the point of the split lane thing, like, okay, I get it. John Starling maybe went around all day while these guys were lining up and telling them, hey, do not go over those markers in the ground. But to me, I just don't understand why that's not a tough block anyway. So we have something that is there in case you get a little bit out of shape or something like that. It's easy to not crash. But if you do it, you're still getting penalized, man. So
what happens if a rider in front of you either cuts a split lane or gets squirrely or whatever, knocks down two of the markers? Does that then invalidate the rule and you're free to cross over a little later? Like,
does that not happen outdoors all the time? I mean, we've not to go to this point of it as well, but I feel like half the time it's like, that Acerbi stake that was right there clearly on that inside roller has been blown off at some point during the race. So now we're just all going like really far inside of it. And that happens all the time. And they go, well, it's not there, so it's not the track anymore, you know? So I think your point's valid.
I'm only a casual viewer, if you even want to call me that, of these other sports where it's much easier to officiate, and I stand by that, because permanent venues, permanent structures, it's all very clear how it's going to operate. But for the most part, and again, I'm not as in tune, so someone tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like all penalties are kind of, they just come out and it's like, yep, that's the penalty, that sucks, or that's right, or shame. There's not this point of contention, and I don't know if we all have a part to play in that, if it's the fabric of this sport, if it's just, again, how hard it is to officiate this thing, because it's much more, I don't know, what would you say? How would you even describe it? There's a lot more blurred lines in this sport, perhaps? Yeah. I don't know.
I disagree. I mean, I follow F1 closely enough to know that every single time there's those fringe penalties, people are, fuck, dude, the 1997 F1 world title went to court over a penalty.
Kellen.
So,
fuck me, you need to get some newer examples. You can't take that
You asked for examples from other sports, and that's the one I can think of right away. But there's clearly other examples more recently
now,
too.
Yes, believe it or not, I'm going to use like the example of last week, and it will pop up on TV saying stop and go penalty or whatever, and people are like, everyone's just like, yep, okay, moving on.
They're not though, dude. You know this as well from watching how quickly any sort of weird penalty like that, and okay, he's not there anymore, but Christian Horner used to blow up the radio at those guys saying that's a joke of a penalty. I mean, Sebastian Vettel had a blow up at race directors. I mean, I guess, I'm sorry, this is 10 years ago now, but the same thing where he got a penalty late in the race because of some weird maneuver, and then he had to give up the spot and then tried to fight it back, and then he literally cussed out the director on TV, like right after that happened. So I disagree with it not happening in other sports.
But then the way that plays out is different, isn't it? Because the penalties in place is quick. Yes, there's a lot of public hoo-ha, but it doesn't get a result. And yes, that, I guess my point was maybe too broad. Yes, okay, I guess there would always be a bit of like contention and whatever else. But I don't know. I think it's a lot more black and white, and everyone's kind of just told to stuff it. Like, yeah, you're not happy? Well, stuff it, you know?
But okay, so to your point with that, is that kind of not happening now at the AMA? Like Honda literally
1 week?
Honda literally said, we're going to contest this by all means necessary or whatever from the Arlington thing. Nothing happened, man. Still the ruling. It's just the ruling. Like, here's the ruling. Here it is. We're done. Moving on with life.
Yeah, I guess.
So, anyway, consistency needs to be better. I would argue that there needs to be more transparency because even when Pelletier came on after Arlington to the SMX Insider Show, I feel like it was kind of just like we told them that this is the rule and so that's how it should be. But it's like you didn't even write it in your rule book. So what do you mean? There's no transparency to clear that up. So that's what I mean. It's frustrating to try to follow this story. And clearly fans are mad and clearly riders are mad. So now everybody's been pissed off.
Maybe it's gotten to a point where we're just trying to do too much. You know, maybe we're trying to monitor and penalize too many different things.
I don't know.
For example, I have very little knowledge as to, obviously in MXGP, the FIM make the rules, hand out the penalties. I have no idea who that person is. I have no idea who's monitoring this.
Well,
I don't even know if they're at the races.
It used to be Ingo Parch, but who took over after him? Who's the new guy?
But point being, like, they're not just around hanging out and, like, I feel like in MXGP a penalty pops up and it is just like, and there's only penalties for, like, the basics, let's say. And maybe the fact that SMX, in an effort to improve, has gotten away from just penalising for the basics, has overcomplicated things.
Well,
ever so slightly.
Back to the F1 thing, they kind of did the same thing, right? Like people still complain in F1 to this day that the second you make contact with a driver of any kind, it immediately goes to review. It's like it could just be like
review is fine.
Well, but I'm saying like people complain that it's like just let them race, man. Like yeah, every once in a while there's going to be wheel to wheel that ends up with a driver spinning. It doesn't need to be penalized every time, but that happens in F1. If you cause a collision, you could get you will get a penalty almost always. So,
in summary, Birmingham, Indy, and Arlington are all bad.
Yes,
both as isolated incidents
What's the worst?
And a trend. Probably still Arlington. It has to be Arlington because Arlington is patient zero. You can't judge Indy and Birmingham without considering Arlington. So therefore, it's hard to judge them in a vacuum. So that's bad. All bad. All bad. Nothing really good about any of those, to be honest. I agree with you that some... You know, let's make an AMA Instagram account and let's publish all statements there. Let's do more. The penalty reports are good and we're getting them more consistently this year and whatever else, but let's expand on them and let's include some expanded information to make it clearer.
Yes.
Let's step it up. But equally, I do still disagree with you. Whilst I agree that I think Pelletier has lost a lot of faith in the paddock and a lot of confidence and whatever else, I don't think it's a Pelletier problem. I think it's a problem across the board with everyone who's in this position at the races.
I can get on board with that. My simple explanation, though, was that I feel like with anything, when you're put in charge of something, the people below you end up being the ones that you're in charge of. And I feel like Pelletier is in charge of the group that is also handing out these explanations or decisions or whatever. And so it's clearly caused a lot of backlash. And if you're Pelletier, figure out a way to stop the bleeding, man. Somehow.
Look, we need to stop this because this is far too long. So my final point on this is this. The explanation for Birmingham would be simple. They're almost... If anybody are listening to this, I think their argument would be, what do you want us to explain? You can't cross the split lane. Someone did it. We penalised them. That's in the rule book. So again, Birmingham isn't actually that egregious as an isolated incident. It's the trend of Arlington, Indy, and then Birmingham that makes Alabama stand out as such a fucked up moment.
But I would still want them to your point, as of right now, still would probably like them to explain why Evan Ferry is getting a harsher penalty than any other of those passes we've seen this year. And to the crossing the split lane thing, where was that at Daytona? We had a split lane. I don't remember seeing any UFO stakes in the ground. tough blocks galore. They were everywhere. Marshall Welton got punted over him and had to
You
navigate
mean
through
before the
tough
finish?
blocks. Yeah.
No, I would disagree. I think they were clearly marked, and I think everyone knew that you couldn't switch.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying why now stakes? It was tough blocks at Daytona. Why now stakes? What changed? Why are we doing this now?
Well, the Daytona one more clearly ran across the start, so I guess there was less room for stakes. Like, by the time you got off the start straight, you were already in the corner and therefore allocated to a split lane. Whereas in Birmingham, there was a little more wiggle room to make a decision.
Sure,
so
man.
It was just there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, maybe they weren't needed. But
I can understand your
say,
explanation, but I'm saying for clarity's sake, now we have stakes. But why?
yes.
And
And why do the riders have to make a decision on a split lane halfway down the straight when it's still just one track? The decision on a split lane should be implemented or locked in once they hit the turn, in my opinion. And once
or a
once you
designated
hit
start
the
of it or
first
something. Yeah.
centimeter of a berm, you're locked into the inside line or whatever. Then you can. I don't know. I'm over it.
Okay,
I'm over
all
it.
right. Yeah, we're moving on. We're moving on because I didn't really want it to be that long anyway, but we unpacked a lot. So let me tell you guys about Partzilla and the PRMX Rocket Kawasaki race team. Hey, Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And Cade Clayson was back this week, made it right into the main event, but I think it's funny. He actually got into like this crazy sequence that I found on the Octopi photo gallery with Freddie Noren and stayed up somehow because Freddie hit him like quite hard. You know how like the lines were coming across the start straight and that inside line always flowed to where the mechanics area is and the line coming out of the berm would cut back across that rut. Well, they found each other doing that in the heat race and it was pretty brutal. But Cade apparently is built like a brick house because Freddie literally hit him and crashed. So there you go.
Cool, man.
Yeah, man. Mitchell Harrison also a bit in the news this week. Any thoughts on Ken Roxon yelling at him?
Oh. Well, no, par for the course. It's not
All right.
the first time Harrison's been yelled at. It won't be the last.
But he did get 15th this week, so good for him. Liam Aloff, sadly, also broken femur. Doesn't sound like it was a good one either. But I heard, I don't know how much you spoke with Julian this weekend, but I heard he did it and his leg was numb, but he thought he just had a Charlie horse. But he actually had fully broken his femur.
That actually makes me cringe.
Right?
Like, I don't like the feeling of that in myself, let alone being him.
Yeah, so very, very crazy stuff. But Kate, congratulations making the main event. 2 PRMX Cowies in the main, 450 main this week. So good stuff for them.
I heard that there could potentially be a fill-in, a PRMX coming up.
For Liam? Or for...
Sure.
Okay, cool, man. All right. I wanted to talk about Hunter Lawrence. I don't know how long you want to get into this, but I feel like, and I think you even maybe said this as well, that this looks like maybe the most complete ride of Hunter's career, especially from a Supercross standpoint. And I feel like he's hitting his stride when it matters the most. And I asked him post-race about dealing with the pressure of leading the 450 championship. And he says like he loves it. He's so happy to be in this position, like kind of feeds on being in a moment like this where you have to hit and everything has to be perfect. Where on the flip side, obviously Eli Tomac did have some struggles this past weekend, just basically said he wasn't feeling his normal self, a little bit uncomfortable, and didn't have the speed to go with those guys tonight. So, or on Saturday night. So for Hunter specifically, I feel like this is culminating into him, like there almost needs to be a moment coming up in the next few weeks where Eli very poignantly stops the bleeding. Because I feel like just another like Tomac wins and Hunter gets second isn't going to do that. Like I feel like we need an emphatic Tomac victory with a bad Hunter night for things to sway. Because the momentum clearly seems to be on Hunter's side. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with a sentiment. I disagree with with the fact that Eli needs a bad night, because it wasn't too long ago, Daytona sort of time, that this conversation was flipped in the Eli manner of him having all the momentum. So it can change that quickly. And Eli's only gone 2-3 the last 2 weeks, so it's not been terrible. But I do think that Hunter is similar to Jet now in the manner where I can't figure out a weakness. I really can't. There doesn't seem to be an area that Eli can exploit, and therefore the only way to beat him is just to beat him straight up, week after week. And it's not that much of a concern yet, in my mind. 9 points, it's still a long way to go. It will be fine. But if it goes to 12, if it goes to 15, I think is where I'm at. That's a problem point. Then I don't know how you come back from that. So, but yeah, my biggest takeaway from Birmingham was Hunter really reminds me of Jet now, which is scary. And quite a credit to Hunter, because let's not forget where he came from. And actually, some fun stats for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hunter has started the Supercross season finishing top 4 in the first 10 rounds, right? None of his peers, current peers, absent or active, so Jet, Chase, Eli, Coop, can claim to have done that. Equally, Hunter has started the season with 8 podiums in the first 10 rounds. None of his peers, active or absent, can ever claim to have done that. And I think that, because I would have thought a Coop, like last year Coop had 7. I actually thought he would have done it last year. But I would think that Eli and Coop have done that. I mean, they've had enough seasons, enough goes at it. And just the fact that Hunter stands out with those numbers, Jet in 2024, he didn't manage either of those things. I think the fact that Hunter stands out with those numbers really offers a wider perspective at just how good he has been and is currently.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, his consistency is maybe the best thing that he has going for him. You said he's got the total package, and I do agree. But from the get-go, the consistency has been there, and he's built into a guy that has race-winning speed the full distance. His starts have also been excellent pretty much the whole time, so I guess you could put that alongside his consistency, but it's remarkable because he just keeps hitting when he needs to every single week, and that's the making of someone who is a championship caliber guy and I think is on his way to maybe winning this championship at this point. The only thing I'll hit back with and ask you on is, honestly speaking, aside from this race, do you still believe that, as you said, he's got the total package, it reminds you of Jet? Jet in 2024, in my opinion, also had the speed. Straight up raw speed over everybody except Chase, maybe. But week to week, he was the best. Do you feel that way about Hunter? Or do you feel like he's so good about circumstantially putting himself ahead of Eli or ahead of Kenny in a main event that their speed cannot usurp that? If they started in front of him or with him maybe next week, it would be tough for Hunter to get through them. Question or otherwise?
I mean, I don't think it's Jet level, but I do think he has the speed.
Okay.
Based on his current competitors. I mean, Daytona, his speed at the end, the third Indy Triple Crown main event. There is Seattle, the end of Seattle, his speed was incredible and unmatchable. Yeah, I think there are enough examples from 2026 to say that he does have. I don't know if I'd say he has a speed advantage, but he can have a speed advantage.
He's at least equal most of the time.
Yeah, he doesn't have it, as in it's not a constant that you can rely on every week, but he can have it where any week he could be that guy who is a second a lap quicker than anyone and can't be touched.
It is, in my opinion, quite clearly just him and Eli at this point. I don't know if you still want to consider Coop. I really am feeling quite
No, Birmingham killed it.
I agree. So if it's just between the two of them, and Hunter's consistency has been as good as it's been, we have 7 races left to go. What would you put the likelihood that Hunter does still have a bad race in him in these final 7 races?
I mean, does it have to happen? I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying, like the likelihood of it happening at all. Because,
and I mean, the best thing is, though, for Hunter is if it is going to happen, it's almost the best time for it to happen. The worst time for it to happen is early in the season, like Kenny at A2 crashing on lap 1 and only getting back to 8th. If that happens to Hunter now at Glendale for Eli back to 12th, if that happens to Hunter now, I think he's getting to the top 5 fairly easily.
Yeah.
So then in that case, maybe it does happen, but it's not that big a deal or as big a deal as we would speculate?
Yes, I agree. But also to your point of that, would you not be a little bit worried at this point in time with the prospect of Chase coming back? Dylan would maybe come back soon, that if he does have a situation a la what Kenny had happen, that he will then once again at some point have a fairly decent field to have to get through. Right now, it's maybe the weakest it'll be, but Chase back adds to the picture. No, not at all.
No, because realistically, the only one who Hunter would even consider a concern in that context is Chase. I think Hunter is blowing by Ferrandis at A1, at Salt Lake, and any race in between.
Well, I'm just saying Ferrandis is another more difficult rider to pass. I would say not like he's impossible, but he's a top
Hunter's
10 guy. That's what I'm saying. So, all right.
Yeah, but point being, he would pass him.
Joey.
Like, Chase is the only one who would be a concern, as in maybe Chase is in the lead group and isn't catchable because he's in the podium mix. The rest of the absent riders, if they come back, are catchable.
Okay. So you think, let's just say this, his worst finish from here is 5th, like minimum.
I mean, I'd like to say he's going to continue his top 4 run.
Well, I think that's possible too, but I'm saying for you, even a bad race would be 5th. But
what was Chad's worst finish in 09? Did he have a bad? Because I seem to remember just a lot of seconds.
Well, he crashed in the first turn at Seattle, and I can't remember I think he got back to the top 5 though.
I'm going to look at that.
Because he got 3rd at A1, and then it was like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1.
Yeah, and he got 3rd at A1 despite the crash with JS7.
Yeah, well, he had no front brake. He had no front brake after that crash. He still got 3rd.
Oh. Well, the new results archive for Supercross, you can only go back to 2014. So no one knows.
What?
Right, now isn't the time for you to teach yourself that that's the case. Kellen,
no, I'm not saying
because we're doing a
there's
podcast.
There's no way. I'm looking at it right now. I can go back right to 2009 right here.
On what website?
It's called live.amaproracing.com/live/archives/SX.
Well, that would be the AMA website.
And Chad's worst finish was in Seattle, which he got 14 points, which would be 7th. Yes. So there you go. But yeah, I think to me, the base would be 5th for a worse race.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not betting against him dropping out the top 4.
Okay, fair enough. Let me tell you guys about.
I'm not betting for him dropping out the top 4.
Well, I get
where you're
going for it there. Let me tell you guys about Alpinestars and the Tech Air MX. The Tech Air MX uses a sophisticated activation algorithm designed specifically for ruts, berms, jumps, and whoops, deploying instantly when it matters most. And it's a fully autonomous airbag built into a compact chest protector, offering CE Level 1 protection on the chest and back, and when deployed, 4 times the back protection of passive armor alone. Visit alpinestars.com and check out their Tech Air MX. All of their line of protective wear gear has been excellent. You like their, what's the knee thing called that you love? What's it called again?
I don't know. The plasma, I think? No,
yes,
that's
plasma,
the chest thing.
Right.
Bionic plasma? I don't know. No one knows.
Something like that. Can we do MXGP talk? A little bit of that?
Yep.
Cool, man.
Sure.
All right. So, Lucas Kunin, after I don't know if you would say like a mediocre opening round, but definitely not one that everyone expected of him in Argentina. I think everyone expected a little bit more flair and a bit of more bang, but it was kind of just a so-so Argentina. Fires back with a perfect weekend sweep in Andalusia, is what I called it, in Spain. And he's back into the championship lead just like that. So first off, I'll ask you, what do you think was wrong with Kunin in Argentina? And then on the flip side of that...
blind.
Well, okay. Is this seriously the eye thing? Because how does he fix it in a week and a half?
Well, I think dust just got in there. I think racing blind was a slight exaggeration.
Yeah, I mean, that he made that sound like it was detrimental for, I don't know. Anyway, so then from that, the flip side is concern that Jeffrey already has had a bit of a weird one.
Kellen, you are having a bad day. What weird one? He went 2-2.
Well, he crashes in the first turn of the quali race, takes him a while to get going, doesn't get back into the points, goes 2-2. When on a track like this in the past, he could at least go toe-to-toe with Lucas.
And if only everyone would realize that I know what I'm talking about, because ever since January the 1st, well, actually not January, ever since January the 7th, let's say, on LVK, MXGP podcasts, Twitter, private conversations, what have I said? Honda starts better, hardpack better, sand worse.
All right, man.
And actually, I was very happy because I was watching Jeffrey's interview with Gate Drop from Andalusia, and he said the same thing. And I thought, thank fuck that he confirmed. Like, because now,
Well, I thought that you had already confirmed this with him, which is why you brought it up.
What, you think I just made it up? But no, it just validates. Validate is a better word.
Because he said it out loud.
Validate the claim. Am I surprised? So no, I have an issue with you saying weird one, because 1-1-2-2 to start a championship is near a dream start.
He got no points in the quali race.
Yeah, that's not scoring in either qualifying race isn't great, but
yeah.
I don't make that a weird one. Was I surprised that Koonin beat him? No. Was I surprised that he was so far back? Yes. Equally, though, if he's going to go 2-2 at worst in the sand, then that's still fine, I guess. Switzerland's going to be huge because it goes Switzerland, which is hard pack, old school, rocky, whatever else, Riola's deep sand. So based on what we saw in Andalusia, it seems that we can bet on Koonin winning Riola. Equally, I would say there's a fairly good chance of Koonin winning Switzerland. So if Koonin does go on a little roll here, then I think it's concern time for everyone trying to take him down. So therefore, Switzerland, although early, I do think it's quite crucial for anyone other than Koonin to win. If Koonin wins Switzerland, then I'm kind of like eyes wide open going, fuck, here we go. Just in the context of not having a good championship.
For me, I think you feel this way. The Febvre was like basically the third best so far to this point, but then the crash out of Moto2 this weekend obviously is a bit detrimental this early on to take a big chunk of points loss to those guys. First off, is it weird that crash knocked him out of the Moto? Because it was a good one. He augured in, but I feel like it wasn't as bad as I maybe thought it kind of was. And then he says he's fine. And then on top of that, how bad is this already losing this many points to these guys?
Well, yeah, obviously it's bad, and I think the crash itself wasn't too bad, but the way he hit the ground was like he
just stopped.
Yeah, he literally hit the ground like a ton of bricks. So I think that's where the issue came. He said that I don't know if a handlebar struck his gut rib area, but he was struggling to breathe, and I think there was concern about a punctured lung and that sort of stuff. But he's fine. Would I think that he'll be 100% in Switzerland? Maybe not. Maybe 90%. But it's a shame because I was very, very impressed with Febvre up until that point. I feel like he had a very good start to his season. A very impressive, respectable, inspiring start to his defense. And I was really starting to buy into the idea of him going back-to-back. Now he's on the back foot. Crucially, though, he's still ahead of Geyser in the championship, which is perhaps telling as to how good his start was.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, is because like it seems ridiculous 2 rounds into this championship when there's 19 of these things that you would almost say it's becoming a bit of a 2-3 horse race or anything of those sorts, because there's so much that can still change. But Geyser has, despite a podium this weekend, not been great. It's been okay. And Vial's been awesome, but I don't know that we have this happen all year long with him. I definitely would choose Herlings and Koonin to go the distance more so than Vial. So I feel like to lose Febvre, to have Geyser not really hitting, it feels like it's already kind of establishing what we expect to be the norm for this title run, but maybe you feel differently.
I mean, a long way to go. You can at least say at this point Herlings and Koonin are without doubt the best guys.
Yes, that's kind of what
Whether
I'm
that tracks down the stretch with injuries and whatever else, I don't know. But at this point, there's clearly 1A and 1B, I would say. Although, again, Switzerland is going to be such a different race with the track, the soil. Maybe all of this gets thrown out the window. I don't know.
How much did it pain your soul to have Lou Friend on Lou Friend crime about 10 feet out of the gate in Moto2?
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
No, it wasn't.
It is funny, though, because obviously I was heartbroken when Ben first crashed. And then when I watched the replay and realised it was Jeffrey, I did go like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I thought Watson was great this weekend, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I would assume he turned quite a few heads in the paddock a little bit, right?
Again, Kellen, similar to the Hurling's hard pack sand start situation. I'm not crazy, and everyone needs to understand
But I'm not
this.
calling you crazy. I'm asking the paddock must now believe in Ben a bit more, right? Like,
Let's just say it was reassuring that whilst I was sat in Birmingham Airport watching Moto 1, at the end of it, I got a lot of WhatsApps from people saying to me, "Oh, wow. So this is what you were talking about." And a few, "Can I come on the Watson wagon now?" So, yes. I'm trying not to be too high about it because cards on the table. I said to him where was it? Spain. 8 to 11 was where I wanted him to be. So, like, in my mind, good, but I actually think there's more on the table. I mean, you've also got to think of it in the context that it's a stacked field at the moment. I looked at it. If you take that result and put it into round 2 of 2025, it would have been a 5th. So I think it's important to remember just how good that 8th is.
yeah.
His best result on a beta was 7th, but again, in a much easier circumstance.
Well,
So
I was going to say that to the eye test for me, I thought like riding, he looked so much more confident like the few times we got to see him. So that's where I like, result aside, he just looked more like old Ben to me.
Yeah,
So,
he doesn't feel like he's fighting a losing battle, would be my guess.
yeah.
I think it's tough to go racing every week where you kind of know that you're screwed before the race even starts.
Sewer update. How we feeling?
Yeah, we're feeling.
We're feeling. And then quickly, MX2 discussion real quick. Camden McClellan, dude. What a guy.
Honestly, he's really like, he's arguably one of the most popular people in the paddock as well. So I think
really?
this is a really feel-good win for MXGP as a whole. Great for Camden. Great for Triumph. Great for South Africa. There's a lot of winners in this thing. And honestly, let's not forget Argentina. Although he was 3rd overall in that second moto, he kind of went after Simon a little bit. He was fiery there too. So I'm buying into this hype quite significantly. I really am. I don't know. Like, Simon's going to be so tough to beat for the title, and Camden only just won his first GP, so naturally there will be a learning process, and it'll be tough. But I do think he can at least. I think he repeats this performance at bare minimum, without doubt.
Yeah, so he's now leading the points. Obviously, he wins the Grand Prix. He goes 2-1 on the day. Guillaume Ferrers won the first moto, so yeah, this is great all around for Triumph. But I think, is McClellan, he must be the first South African since Rattray to be leading the points?
No. Oh, so to be leading the points, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that like Gareth was really good, Swanepoel was really good, and there's been others as well. But as you said, this is great for South Africa as a nation, kind of putting them in terms of motocross back on the map even a bit more. What is your opinion of the prospect that McClellan can do this week in and week out, though?
No, well, exactly what I just said. It's going to be tough. He's never been in this position before. I would imagine there will be highs and lows, but I think the highs can be as high as this.
Okay, so highs and lows. Langenfelder goes 3-3 for second overall. Guillaume Ferrers wins the first moto, DNF in the second moto. Bit of a bummer there for him, but I guess if there's highs and lows with McClellan, Langenfelder is still just in a great position, I guess, in your opinion.
Yeah, I think Langenfelder can just back into this title by finishing second every week if he has to. Koonen's clearly not fixed any of his issues. So, yeah. I don't see how you would bet against Langenfelder for the title, although I do think that McClellan is probably going to give him quite a good run now.
Is the biggest... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, again, Switzerland's such a different race that maybe it all gets turned on its head there, and I don't know.
Is the biggest disappointment to you this season in MX2 Liam Everts?
He dinged up his ankle on Saturday. So
Okay,
he was sick in Argentina.
All right.
Dinged his ankle in Spain. So disappointing from the aspect of like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why are we having so many issues? Yeah. But I'm not going to crucify him yet because there are just reasons for his subpar performances.
Well, if you listen to the Vital MX post-race reviews, you can hear also more insights on the MXGP championship from riders around the paddock, where Lewis asked their biggest surprise, but there wasn't much to be said, I feel like.
No, well, it's obvious, isn't it? Like, if someone asks me that, I'm going to say the Howard Hurlings.
Yeah.
So, like, we'll have to wait until we get a little bit deeper into this thing.
Prado definitely did seem quite sad to not be at home this weekend.
Yeah, I was quite surprised, honestly, because he's been quite like dismissive of MXGP in private conversations, and he was like pining for MXGP. I think.
Yeah. It's his home country, though. I get it.
If A-Ray's listening to this, he is very welcome for Ben Watson putting O'Neill in the top 8 of MXGP. And when has that ever happened?
Yeah, right?
I can't think of an O'Neill rider.
There's gotta have been. There's no way.
I honestly am...
What did Strybos used to wear?
Everything. But never O'Neill.
Are you sure? Not just one random year he was in it?
But A-Ray, if you'd like to capitalize on this great momentum, including a win at the British Championship, maybe put some budget into the Ben Watson program, get a bit of an influencer thing going on, I'll happily start a podcast with him every week. We can really make Ben the face of O'Neill internationally. So hit me up.
How does it make you feel that there's other media companies that are asking questions about you to Ben Watson?
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Kellen?
I don't know. Caught me off guard.
Did you notice Ben's dig at me though?
I mean, there was a few in there about how much you love everything in the
No, but I think
US
how he
and
said, yeah, he knows me and Max. He's more just fans of the other two.
Yeah,
that was quite
striking. No, that's true.
Yeah,
well, because
he's quite big on the whole like who's your real friend sort of thing.
I think he was saying that more as like a you know them from yesterday.
No, it was
the
a
old
dig as
version
in
of
like
yourself.
who's your real friend sort of thing.
Okay, all right. Well, no, I did think that
Never
was quite
forget, actually, I was going to tweet this, but I didn't know if I should. Never forget that when I left Europe, or when I was deciding to leave Europe, it was said to me, if you decide to leave, Ben will never... So this was, I don't know why this was a claim, but it was said to me, like when I was umming and ahhing, someone who probably would have liked me to stay said, if you leave MXGP, Ben and Jeremy will never talk to you again. They're just using you. You will be of no use to them. And I've spoken to them both today. So that's good.
Yeah. I'm sure there was quite two different conversations that you had with both of them.
Well, Jeremy's feeling. He's feeling.
He had one of the races of all time this weekend.
He's feeling, yeah. It was one for the record books. Yep.
That's funny. Okay.
Also, how the fuck did they engrave the names on the trophies so quick?
They must have someone there doing it, like right as it
Toggled
happens.
my little brain, that did. Couldn't work it out. So, like, what's that YouTube series? It's like life's the world's great mysteries or unsolved riddles or whatever.
Was it an engraving or was it a sticker? It might have been a sticker.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was a sticker. I was absolutely baffled.
F1 does that too. Just to go back to our old friends there,
baffled.
They will put like engravings and stuff on the walkways the drivers come in after the podium, and it's like literally shows the most recent winners and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's a perpetual trophy.
What?
You're saying that they just add the name to the trophy?
Well, yeah, but I'm also saying the walkway, the pathway that they're walking into the podium after the race is over will already have the most recent winner on the ground.
Oh.
So
cool, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's F1. They've got a shit ton of money. They probably just have an engraving of every single driver ready to go.
Giuseppe has a lot of money too, though.
Giuseppe's retired.
Okay, Dan has a lot of money.
Yeah. Dan needs to work on... Dan needs to tighten things up. They just dropped their Argentina review podcast today.
Okay, man.
We've got to do... Dan, once
again... Do we
again,
talk about the tweets?
First of all, A-Ray needs to call me about Ben. Once I'm done with that, Dan, I would love to help. And this is in no way dismissive of the MXGP podcast that they do, because JT and Paul are, of course, great and brilliant, and it's good to see them doing that because that's an advancement. However, releasing the Argentina one after Spain not the move.
No, not good.
Not the move. And I think that probably is like page 1 of marketing for dummies.
How long until we have a native English speaker running the Twitter account, though?
Just no one knows.
Cool, man. MXGP, catch the fever. Do you want to get into banter?
Yeah, I can't really be bothered, but okay.
Okay, well, do you want to start off with your attack?
No.
Do we want to?
I don't have the energy at the moment. Give me a minute to recharge.
Okay, well, let's recharge. How about the 450 main event start, Lou? What happened there? Do you want me to do this?
No, I was not a dick. I don't know why you think I'm a dick. And don't use names here, please. Use just person A and person B.
Okay. Can I explain that it's affiliated with a rider, though? Like, not who it is?
Sure.
Okay. So, someone in the press box ended up sat in front of us for the 450 main event, and they are affiliated in one way or another with a 450 main event rider. And the gate drops, the race starts, we're flying into turn number 1, and affiliated rider may or may not be getting a good start in this race, and affiliated person below us stands up, jumping down and cheering, which rightfully so. They like this person quite a bit. And I just hear this subtle, quiet noise to my left from one person B sat to my left.
Well, you can name me, Kellen, for fuck's sake.
I'm trying to be nice to you. From one Lewis Phillips sat next to me that says, and I can't see.
Yeah, accurate. I don't know what's like. You were so adamant that this was a dick move, and I don't know why.
I actually did not.
I can't see.
I did laugh quite hard.
I saw them go into turn 1. I didn't know who was coming out in front. It's quite a surprise, quite an enjoyable experience, to be honest. I'd probably choose to C if I had an option between A and B, but yeah. And I can't see.
It's so good. The delivery of it caught me off guard. I was laughing pretty hard down that first rhythm section. Almost missed Hunter Lawrence passing into the lead because I was laughing too hard. No, does it mean that we'll now sit lower so that we can see everything at all times?
No.
Well, then we don't have anybody.
I'm going to do whatever I want in Detroit because it's just going to be me. So I'm going to set up a tent.
Well,
spread out my stuff.
Speaking of setting up in Detroit, man, we're in the rafters anyway, so bring yourself a jacket, something to stay warm up there.
Okay, I'll tell you my story. I think it's a shit story. It's overplayed.
You literally said we have something really to get into on LVK.
Well, this is the end of Am I a Dick? Because this is kind of the ultimate. So I'm lucky to be here alive today. Or unlucky, depending on your preference towards me. I was driving to get food. I don't know how you describe this, but I was going straight across traffic lights. Angry person, the aggressor, was coming towards me, but turning left across my lane that I was going straight. Clear?
And the light was green, to be clear.
I had right of way. He had to do the thing because he was turning where he sits in the middle and waits for there to be a path.
Yep.
He cuts out in front of me at the last moment. So naturally, I think it's quite a normal move. I just put my hand up like that because that's my move. I'm not really a flip off or a wanker sign or whatever. I'm just a hand in the air. That's my move. Didn't think much of it, to be honest, other than I almost died as I... Also, fuck me, Birmingham. You guys, I've been to Qatar. I've been to Indonesia. They're like F1 drivers compared to the driving quality of Birmingham. I've never seen anything like it. Do you agree?
It's not ideal, that's for sure. Not good. Not good.
Like across the board, just... anyway. So
I feel like...
on.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say, for me, it's not so much like they're maybe not good drivers, but there's a lot of aimless wandering. I sat behind a guy going through the city streets to get back to the freeway that was going way slower than the speed limit and weaving a little bit in between like both lanes. Like seeming like, do I want to go left? Do I want to go right? I don't know.
Yeah,
so I'll just kind of be here. So yeah, bad driving.
So anyway, hand in the air, didn't even think anything of it. Just was like, it was kind of just a, yeah, you almost died. Or I almost died. I don't care about you. Drove to my place of eatery, 5 minutes or so. Completely forgot this had happened. Pull in. I may as well say, but Steve says Birmingham is the worst stop on the tour. I agree. I had to go to McDonald's for dinner because there was just fuck all around, so it's terrible. I wasn't happy about that already. Pull into the McDonald's parking lot. Get out. Foot is out. Man in car parks along the back of me, jumps out, and is like screaming at me. And it took me a good 5 seconds to realize that this was the same guy who I had honked. Because, like, if anything, he owed me an apology. So I don't know why his issue was me. And he just starts screaming at me. Did you flip me the bird? Which
what is he saying?
That's a really
like, what is he
corny.
saying in this moment?
Did you flip me the bird? I just said that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And I didn't, because I'm not a middle finger guy. And also, calling it the bird, don't like that either. Just call it a middle finger. And I went, no, I didn't, because I didn't. Thought I'd be factually correct for the interest of the conversation. And he just keeps screaming at me, you flip me, you think you can flip me the fucking bird? And I'm like, yeah, well, no, I didn't do that, but all right. And then he's not got me pinned up against the car, but like I'm stood with my back against the car, and he stood so close to me that I don't really have anywhere to go. So I'm just kind of stood there. And he went, I'll kick your ass right now. And his car was parked in the again, behind me. So he's in the road. There was a line forming because of this man's terrible parking, which again relates earlier to his actions on the road. He clearly has no idea how to operate a motor vehicle. So he said, yeah, I'll kick your ass right now. And I went, all right, should we move though? Because your car's causing a line. And he didn't like that at all. And then he just stormed off and got in his car and drove off. Which I didn't. I was quite happy for him to kick my ass. I thought that the other people shouldn't suffer as a result.
I fully think he did not expect that you would like just be like, yeah, man, let's do it. Like, I think he thought he would imitate it.
I was in a terrible mood, so I literally didn't give a shit. Like, I was in such a bad mood that I was like, you know what? You can shoot me if you want. I really couldn't care. Like, whatever you want, mate. Whatever you want. I'd like to apologise to the people of McDonald's.
Cause a
Not
scene.
what they want on a Friday night.
Bit of a stack up in front of their restaurant. Yep.
Yeah, and we had a crowd of 2 people, I want to say. Obviously, McDonald's known for their Happy Meals. This was not in keeping with that vibe. Nope. And so, therefore, I apologise for the damage to the brand. And I have to say, I sat by the window because I fully thought he was going to like loop around and come and smash my window. Because at one point in the back and forth, he did say he was going to smash my window, which is a weird, like, cool, man.
Yeah,
like, what a weird fucking thing to say. I found that quite odd. I didn't really understand.
Here's how I'll get back at you. I'll inconvenience you slightly.
Like, we're just going to like name things.
Yeah.
I'll kick your dog. Okay, cool, man. Like, I don't know. So I was actually really surprised he didn't come back and smash the window because he was so fucking angry. He was, honestly, he was like irate. And I don't really know why, because again, he cut me off. He really felt disrespected because he thought I gave him the bird. But again, not that guy. I'm just a hand in the air sort of guy.
I mean, back to our discussion about driving in Birmingham, I think that maybe he doesn't realize he was in the wrong because he thinks that's how the road works or something.
But also, it's crazy. You want to know how mad he is? Obviously, he was going in the opposite direction, so he would have had to swing a Yui to chase me down, and it was like 5 minutes. So I wish I'd known he was behind me. I wish I'd known he was behind me, because I would have just done laps of the McDonald's for as long as I could to see how long he would follow me for. Because you drive around the building.
Yeah.
How funny would that have been if I just did lap after lap after lap after lap, like see how long he stayed in it? Like 10 laps? I don't know. I think he probably would have got to the point where he would have parked, got out, and
waited for you to come back around.
Came to my car while I'm driving. Yeah, that would have been quite funny now that I think about it. And then, so I get in to get my food. Shaken. Absolute shiver me timbers. I was shaken, feared for my life, sit down, open my phone. There's a new comment on my press day interviews saying, why is this trans limey still around? I've never been called trans before. And 14 seconds after this incident, it was a real 2 minutes of my life.
You had a tough Friday, man. I'll admit it. Like
I've never been called trans before. I've been called a lot of things. Honestly, that may complete the bingo card of every insult I could have ever been called. Not sure if it was the same guy. Honestly,
the same guy goes to
At first, I thought the guy was just emotional because Chase wasn't racing. And so I went to put my hand on his shoulder and go, "It's okay, man.
Me too. I feel the same.
Hey, man, we're in this together." So I figured that was it, but then obviously not. But I presumed that was why everyone in Birmingham was so upset. But I guess other people have other things going on. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a good assumption though, because you certainly did have that shared emotion. You're just a man in a glass box.
That's also why I was happy with him kicking my ass. Because, ever since Chase has been out, I'm just not feeling anything. So I just wanted to feel again,
You really need to go to an MXGP soon.
I thought getting my ass kicked might do that. Just wanted to feel something.
You need a break, man. You need an MXGP in your life again.
That's why I went and went on a rampage, because I just wanted to feel again, But I still haven't. So we'll see how it goes coming up.
In this situation, as the end of am I a dick or not? Yeah, no, you're not a dick. That guy is. Like, the hell's his problem?
I wish I'd recorded it. Maybe I should wear a body cam from now
on. Do a deal with Insta360, but instead of Supercross related content, it's Supercross adjacent content.
It'd have been great if he again. You think you can flip me the bird? Sorry, do you mind if I film this for my vlog?
Click it on.
Sorry, I'd quite like to film this, but I believe by law I need your consent first. So, is that okay?
Well, in a similar vibe to the mode in which you just spoke right now, I wish what you'd also do is what you did in the press box when the lappers, I won't name names, became a bit of a problem during the day, and you did your David Attenborough rendition of what it's like for lappers.
Yeah, that was quite funny as well.
It was really good.
I have to say, I reckon I was quite on form on Saturday. Got me in trouble.
Good.
Got me in trouble.
Yes. Do we even want to discuss that, or is this?
No, we're not going to discuss it. But let's just say that a joke that I made in the press box got me in trouble. It's been filtered
which to me
out.
was the most nothing of all time.
Yep.
For us in the press box. So whatever.
Sad.
Sad indeed. Yeah. So not a dick. Birmingham just did you dirty. Sorry, man.
No, just wanted to feel again.
Well, hopefully you'll feel in Detroit. There's a lot to do up there with none of your friends going this weekend. Sad. Hopefully Chase is back. You need some light in your life.
Yeah, just is that even going to do it? Is the damage been done?
Can you ask Watson to come visit too?
I think what would happen. I was meant to look if MXGP doesn't clash with Salt Lake, I would presume Sewer would come if Hunter's going to win the title.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought I should look into that.
How do they MXGP side up? Hold on.
It's not that big a deal, Kellen. No, I think, I'd imagine even when Chase comes back, I'll struggle to feel again. But then as he crosses the finish to light the candles, I think like a dead, like the ET flower, I'll just start to come alive again.
It doesn't clash, by the way. There's there's an over month break between Trentino and La Capelle for some reason.
Oh, he probably would come then, yeah. Oh. That'd be great.
I think you should start working on this right now. Get Ben over. Hurlings, bring Hurlings over too. Everybody.
That would be great. Sewer would do that. I think Sewer would want to be there if it's going to happen. Which,
I think so. They're close enough, right? Still?
Yeah, they're best friends.
Best friends still, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, without doubt.
Okay. All right, goddamn. All right, well, I think Birmingham did you dirty, man, and I'm sorry about that. But I do hope Chase is back. Okay, so we all thought Chase would be back for Birmingham. He's riding now.
Yep. Swimming.
I mean, he's got to be back for Detroit, right? Or else
I think Detroit is 50-50. I think St. Louis, if not Detroit, I think St. Louis is locked in.
I get it. He's your friend and we all love him and he's great and whatnot. But I feel like the fact that there was many rumors he should be back for Birmingham. He was obviously riding before Birmingham. If he misses Detroit, does that not look quite negative at this point? Like, hey, man.
He started riding the Tuesday before Birmingham. So with that in mind, Birmingham was a bit soon. Yeah, Detroit makes a lot of sense, but also we know there's a lot going on in that situation. And I think it's probably detrimental to everyone involved to come back and hate life and finish 7th. So if it takes another week to get in a better spot, then I guess you should take that. I don't know, but I guess my rebuttal to that would be the only way you're going to get the bike better is by racing it. You can practice it all day long. That didn't seem to work out the first time around.
I mean, what, is he just going to go to the practice track over and over and over again and be like, oh, it's great, and then show up and get sixth again? I don't know. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, well, that certainly didn't seem to work through the first 7 rounds, that little theory, so trying something new.
Yep, trying something new. All right, well, I'm bummed for you that we are not going to Detroit with you, but I am also equally happy for you that you get to get the upper hand on all of us by having scoops all weekend long that we do not. So, thank you.
Yeah, but it's not going to be scoops, is there? Because press day's terrible and the pits are closed.
I don't know, man. I feel like you'll find a way to get scoops. And given the nature in which the last month and a half of Supercross has gone on, there's bound to be something ridiculous that happens in Detroit. Look, last year at Detroit, the freaking Anstey situation happened. So
I'd imagine. Well, one thing's for sure. I don't want to get in the same sort of car controversy in Detroit. No, I think that'd probably end a lot worse.
No.
But then again, if Chase isn't back, maybe I want to feel him. Maybe that'll do it.
Given the way that press day is going to happen on Friday, how much you wished you could fly in Friday instead?
No, you know me, Kellen. I'd fly in Wednesday if I could.
Why don't you?
I love a hotel.
Any update on hobbies?
No. My mum listened to the last LVK and said she was trying to think of a hobby I've ever had in my life, and she couldn't come up with one.
Great.
Apart from motocross, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there was comments last week that basically said you found a way to make your hobby your job. So
yeah, and how lovely.
That.
Yeah. But then
cool, man.
we could go into a fucking rabbit hole now and talk for 30 minutes about how but that's where it's all wrong, because my job is my hobby, which means I want everything to be better, but you can't make everything better because of restrictions and the way the sport is and whatever else. So then my hobby actually drives me fucking insane, and I'd be happier if my job was just my job.
Yeah, I don't think we need to deep dive this. I think that's okay. We'll leave it as is. But Detroit coming up this weekend. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of interesting things that will happen there that we'll dissect on our next LVK More Than Moto podcast. Thank you to Leatt, Partzilla, and Alpinestars Protects for backing the show. Thanks, Lou, for joining me here today, as always. And we'll be back next week to recap what happens at the Detroit Supercross and more here on LVK More Than Moto.